Today's guest is a special guest. I feel like I say that every time, but today's guest really is special. He was in the NFL for 9 years. Not only was he in the NFL for 9 years, but he was 157 pounds and 5'10" in the NFL for 9 years. Now, if you watch NFL, you know how rare that is. And you can't even imagine, I can't even imagine how many obstacles he had to overcome in order to get to the place he was in the NFL. Now, not only is he an NFL player, but now he's parlayed all the lessons he's learned from the NFL into motivational speaking. He's spoken for the biggest companies in the world, and today's guest is none other than JJ Birden.
What's up, Levi?
What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
No, it's nice to finally meet you in person.
I know, yeah.
You and I have been working together for almost, 2 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see you in person.
Yeah, we just connected on our first call. We edited a sizzle reel for you. And so, I just love what you stand for. And I think, like I said before the podcast, you embody the type of guests that we have on here, overcoming obstacles, real results. And I want to get into that. But first, you had a long NFL career, and I'm curious, what age did you start playing football, and how did you get into football?
I started playing football age 15. But before that, if you want to count it, I was playing in the neighborhoods. We just played in the street every single day. But as far as organized, it wasn't until my sophomore year. And that was the year I realized that, because I was raised in a single parent household. Yeah. Mom dropped out of high school her junior year and, really hard worker, but we struggled growing up. And when I was 15 years old, I learned that, hey, if you're good enough in athletics, you can get a free scholarship to college. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so that was the beginning of me starting to play football and run track.
Right. That's awesome. And so did you play, you played at Oregon, right?
Yeah.
And then college?
Right.
Okay. And then how many years did you play in Oregon?
I played 4 years. Yeah.
4 years, all 4 years.
Yeah, because I went to Oregon on a track scholarship.
Okay. Oh, track.
Yeah, I was there for track.
What's your 40-yard dash?
Well, when I was healthy and young, 4.33.
4.3?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Dang, man, that's impressive. Okay, so you get into college. How do you even get into the NFL? How does that process even work? I mean, you have to. I saw a stat the other day. There's more likely for you becoming an astronaut.
Right.
Than being in the NFL. This is the one of the 1%. On top of that, I can't even name an NFL player right now that's 157, 5'10". I can maybe think of Troy Polamalu, but other than that, the rarity is out of this world. I don't think people understand. So how did you get to that point where you overcame the obstacles to get in the NFL?
Yeah, and just to validate that, and just to share, you're right, because the statistics are it's a 0.008% chance a high school football player will get to the NFL. And then for football players to make the college, it's 1.6% chance. And then if you make it, the NFL career average has dropped to less than 2 years, while the average size NFL player is 6'2", 245 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to me how I accomplished that goal. But you know what? To be honest, it was never a goal. I never wanted to play in the NFL. I wasn't that kid.
Really?
I wasn't that kid who wanted to play in the NFL. I didn't dream about that. And I was a track and field athlete. I was a really good long jumper and high hurdler. So I figured that was my route to create a lifestyle I didn't have growing up. And when I got the scholarship to Oregon in track, every college that came around to recruit me in track, I'd always ask the coach, what do you think about me playing football one day? Because I knew in the back of my mind that I was going to try, because I was the number one high school receiver in the state of Oregon.
Really?
I was 5'9", 133 pounds.
Wow.
But every Division I school was like,
You
no,
133.
133.
That's
They're
crazy.
like, nope, I don't care
That's
how
like
fast you are.
133 is even more insane.
Yeah, so I was written off right away. So in the back of my mind, I had like this little chip on my shoulder. I was like, okay, I'll show you. And Oregon was the only Division I track school who didn't think it was a crazy idea for me to try to walk on one year. And the coach was like, you run track the first year. If you can convince the head coach your second year, you have our blessing.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why I went to Oregon. Besides, they had a great track program. And then it was just a matter of convincing the head coach the next year.
Okay.
I went through a process. You want to hear this quick little
Yes,
story?
I do.
So it's my first year in track, and Oregon Ducks are doing spring ball in the spring. And I figured, like, I'll sneak away from track practice one day. Let me go check out the football practice. I want to see how big these guys really are.
Yeah.
So I sneak onto the field, and I'm up in the stands, and I'm watching the practices, and I'm really just kind of measuring the talent. I'm evaluating the talent. I did that for 2 days. And after the second day, I thought, I can do this.
Yeah.
Now I got to get their attention. So the very next day, I go stand on the practice field. You're not supposed to be on the practice field.
Yeah.
But I figure someone's going to kick me off, and I can tell them why I'm there.
Right.
So I stood there for about an hour by the goalpost, and finally the head coach caught sight of me. He starts walking towards me. His name is Rich Brooks. And he's walking towards me, and I'm like, uh-oh, here we go.
That's where you get kicked out.
Here we go. He's coming. What are you going to do? And by the time he gets near me, he says, Birden, I know who you are. You're the track kid. I saw you in the stands. What are you doing here? Coach, I want to play. And he's like, well, I don't know. We evaluated you. We just felt you were too small for Division I. Coach, no, I can do it. Just give me a shot. And so he finally said, okay, just come to my office. Let's have a conversation. So I went to Coach Brooks' office the next day, and it was a 30-minute conversation. It was me trying to convince him,
Right.
Give me a shot, give me a shot. And I finally wore him down. He says, okay, I'll let you walk on. That means try out, no scholarship. And if it doesn't work, you just go focus on track. And
Right.
I just saw an opportunity. I was trying to get my foot in the door.
Right.
And I walked on that year. That's fall. And usually walk-ons don't really get much of a shot. And when I walked in from day one, there was 13 wide receivers on the team. I was number 12.
And by the way, for people to know, there's 3 or 4 on the field at once.
Yeah, exactly. So most people in that situation, if you're in a situation where it looks like you're not being given a fair chance, the odds are against you, someone doesn't believe you. My mindset was a little different. I was like, how fast can I move up the depth chart?
Yeah.
It was a challenge because I knew I had the ability. I just needed the chance. And anyway, I ended up making it, and kind of the rest is history. But yeah, I ran track and played football the rest of my career at Oregon.
That's awesome, man. And so did you get drafted by the Chiefs?
I got drafted by the Browns.
The Browns.
Yeah, which is really interesting because I didn't have a great college career. I didn't. I didn't catch a lot of passes. My senior year, I had 1 touchdown in all of 4 years. And if you know football, that's rare for wide receiver. I had 1 touchdown, only had 19 catches my senior year. So one, I didn't think I could play in the NFL. 2, I didn't think they were interested in me. But I got invited to the NFL Combine. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they invite the top.
Right. 40-yard dash, the cones.
Somehow I got invited. I was this mystery track guy, they said, who could catch the football. That's how they labeled me.
Okay.
And I tested well. I can run fast. I can jump high and catch the ball. And somehow that produced, or that, gave me the opportunity to be drafted. I was 8th round, 216th pick by the Browns. They don't even have 8 rounds anymore.
Yeah.
But that was it was a nice surprise. But even after I got drafted, I was like, well, that's nice. I want to run track because I had qualified for the 1988 Olympic trials in the long jump.
Really?
So that was the dream.
Wow.
Yeah. So this football thing was really not a priority at all at that point.
Really? Okay. Interesting. But I see how the talents kind of coincide together.
Right.
Okay. So you spent 9 years in the NFL. You were Browns, Falcons?
Cowboys,
Chiefs,
Chiefs, and Falcons.
Falcons, and Chiefs. And you play with I just want to bring this up because you played with Joe Montana.
Joe Montana, yeah.
Right? Which is crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
How was it catching a pass with him?
Well, once I got over the shock that it's Montana I'm in the huddle with.
I was going to say, you probably had some initial shock.
Oh, I did, because Levi, I was in 8th grade when he was throwing touchdown passes for San Francisco.
So you grew up watching.
Yeah.
And now he's throwing.
Now I'm looking to the right and I'm like,
passes.
that's Joe Montana, you know. But I've always been a learner. Success leaves clues. And this guy had won 4 Super Bowls. He achieved all these accolades in 15 years. So I'm thinking, what can I learn from him? Yeah. And I was a sponge. And Joe came in and he studied like a rookie. He prepared like a veteran. He led like a pro. He was a consummate professional. It was just such a great example to witness and to learn from.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's great. I'm sure you learned a lot of, lessons from the people around you in the NFL, which actually kind of leads me into what you're doing now, which is motivational speaking. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a Keynote motivational speaker now, which is really kind of ironic because I was the kid who never wanted to talk in class. I would not raise my hand. I hated giving presentations. And now this is what I do for a living,
Yeah. So it's called Beat the Coverage, which I love. It fits into your personality. It fits into what you did in the NFL. Like, in order to be 5'10", 157 pounds, you have to beat the coverage. Now, what that means, for simplicity's sake, is kind of running past the corner, or running past the safety, whoever is guarding. You have to beat the coverage. And so you kind of found a different way of being a receiver. Although you didn't have the power to kind of catch passes over people. You didn't have like Randy Moss where he could just catch anything. You had to run past him. You had to find a different way. So beating the coverage is great. Now, what does that mean in business? Yeah,
beat the coverage is, as you mentioned, is my new brand. And it's very unique to me because, like you mentioned, as a wide receiver, my job was to identify the coverage. Is it man? Is it zone? Find the hole. And when you think about it, coverage was what was between me and scoring a touchdown. Yeah. And I thought, that's real life, because everybody deals with coverage, that whatever's between them and their objective. And that could be competition, economic pressure, customer behavior, self-doubt, negative thinking. I mean, the list goes on. And so this has given me the platform to be able to teach anyone, whatever the objective is, whatever the challenge, whatever that's holding you back, let me show you how to conquer it. Because that was my journey to the NFL, constantly dealing with different types of coverage and then knowing how to defeat it and win.
Yeah. I mean, in order to be in the NFL for 9 years, you have to be great. Right? In order to be the CEO of, let's say, Nestle, you have to be great. What do you think holds us back from being great, from being that, 0.1%?
I think it first starts with mindset. Okay. Mindset's everything. I mean, how you think, what you think, when you think, it matters. And I think at times, people find themselves in situations and they realize that, okay, the journey is not going to be easy. The goal is not going to be easy. Nobody's going to give it to you. And it's those people who can have that mindset shift to say, hey, maybe I can't control the circumstances around me, but I can control how I show up every day. Yeah. I can control my attitude, my effort, and my preparation. And that's what helped me, because Levi, when I walked into my first NFL training camp at 157 pounds, I could tell people were like, well, what's he doing here? He's not going to make it. Yeah. He's not going to do anything. I could feel that energy. So again, the mindset shift was, hey, I can't control my size, but I can control my mindset and I can control my preparation, and I can control the fact that I'm going to outwork everybody here. Yeah. And that mentality really helped.
But to so many people, like, that almost kind of feels demoralizing, having the whole team look at you, or the coaches look at you and be like, you're 5'10", you're small. You're not built to be a wide receiver. You kind of have to you have to change, the way things work. Right. And it almost like brings you a lot of self-doubt. I feel like when people do that towards you, for me, it's like, oh, you're 23. There's no way you can be business person. It's like, So my question for you is like, when does that mindset shift happen in a person? Because you can't just say, oh, it's all about your mindset.
Right.
Like, when does that shift happen, and how do you start to implement those things and work on those things?
Yeah, well, it has to happen before the mindset shift, and that is the why you're doing it. That's the foundation. Why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
You know, you're understanding your why, your purpose is like your deep seat of motivation. It's what's going to drive you to push through anything. And for me, when I got to the NFL, no matter what everyone thought, I was trying to change my circumstances. Like I said, I was raised in the hood, single parent mom. We struggled. We had nothing growing up. I made a decision early on that I was going to change my story for my family. So that was driving me. That was the motivation I needed to push through the tough times, the obstacles, the doubters. You know, so I always tell everyone, you got to start there first. Why are you pursuing that goal? Make sure it's important. Then you can start shaping your mindset to deal with all the challenges and all the crazy moments that are going to come your way.
Because if you wake up every day with your why, you know, your purpose for doing things, you're going to wake up easier. You're going to wake up faster. You're going to want to get to the office faster, you know, get in your car, get out faster, like get to the gym. I feel like the why is so much. Yeah. So like, how do people find their why? What do you think is the best way?
Oh, there's a technique I teach called peeling the onion. This is how you figure it out. How do you find your why? And this can apply in any area of pursuit, no matter what your goal is. Okay. So I was in Chicago like 7 years ago, and I was meeting with this group, and one of the women out of the blue said, "Hey, JJ, you got any tips on losing weight? You seem relatively healthy." And I thought, that's kind of, why does she want to be healthy? Let me find out. So you have to start peeling the layers. Like an onion has layers to get to the core. Right. You do the same thing with your why. And that's what I did. So I said, why do you want to be healthy? She said, well, I just want to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? She says, well, right now I can't get on the ground and play with my daughter. I was like, why do you want to do that? And she says, well, to be honest, I want to be around. I go, what are you talking about? She said, my mom died of obesity when I was a child, and I want to make sure I'm around for her wedding. I said, bingo, there's your why. That's why you want to be healthy. And I said, anytime you struggle, you want to quit, you want to cheat your program, you read that. And I said, write it everywhere. Yeah. See, that's when you have a powerful why like that, the process to get there is not a challenge. You know, and you're talking to a guy who sometimes had to run in there and block a linebacker like Junior Seau was 260 pounds, 100 pounds bigger than me.
Right. Yeah. I forgot you had to block too.
Crack back on the linebacker. But the why was so strong. I was like, okay, strap it up. Let's go hit him. Now, Junior wouldn't move when I hit him. Yeah. But I did my job. Right. You know, because of the why. So the obstacle didn't matter. And that's the encouragement I always give everyone is this. Let's figure out why you're doing it. But you have to be honest. And it might take 3-4 times of you saying, why is that important? Why is that important? But if you're honest, man, you can find a why that'll give you the passion. It'll give you the focus. It'll give you the determination to achieve whatever that goal is.
Yeah, I love that, man. So we talk about being great, you know. Look, I had a few shoots with Phelps, you know, who's another athlete like you, who's at the top of the heap. And one of the things I noticed being around him is like he's all about the little details with the things he is obsessed with. Like he gets in, like if he starts something, he wants to be great at it. Can you speak a little bit to that about like the little details that it takes in order to be great?
The small details matter in anything you're doing. It's the small details. And one of the ways I try to emphasize how to focus on the small details, it's the 1%, you know, because when I got to the NFL, everybody was talented. Everyone was gifted. Everyone was hungry. But I started realizing that, you know, it's the guy that can get 1% better every single day. Little tweaks here and there. And that's the small details. Yeah. For a receiver, it might be just how you line up on the line or how you prepare for this play or how you study the film. It's the 1%. And when you can do the 1% every day, it adds up.
Yeah.
And it produces something big. And that's really the small details. And a lot of people overlook the small details, but the small details is what helps you win. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of motivational speakers out there.
Right.
So I sit there and look at myself. How can I be different? How can I be unique? What is my 1%? You know, and that's the thing I'm constantly working on because it separates me from the other speakers, you know.
Yeah. What do you think separates you from other speakers?
I
Just
think,
curious.
well, you know what? I think, well, one, I had the privilege of being in a profession that teaches you a lot of skills.
Right.
It enhances a lot of abilities and talents and winning strategies. And I've been able to take those and then relate them to the real world, relate them to the business world as well. And all the things I did as an athlete, I do as a professional.
Yeah.
Now I just don't get hit. I don't get tackled, you know.
Yeah.
But all the little things from the discipline, from the preparation, from the grit, from the resilience, from all those things you learn in a game, I apply them in everyday life.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to tell people, that these are skills and qualities that anybody can acquire. You don't have to be a professional athlete. It's just a matter of how important they are to you,
Right.
and how much you're willing to work on them.
Right.
And the work part is what the NFL taught me, is that you had to do the work. And we spent a lot of time working on the fundamentals, the basics. You know, that's where the wins are.
Right. Right. So I have a question for you, because we just had, Carrie Campbell on our podcast, and, she works with NFL players. She said that NFL players suffer from identity crisis the most. Reason being is because you're in the NFL for 9 years, and then, JJ Birden is known as this wide receiver in the NFL. That's your whole identity now after 9 years. Now you get out of the NFL. Did it take you time to figure out who you were going to be, or did that already, or did you already know, like, kind of where you wanted to go with your life after the NFL?
I always felt that I had a very easy transition to life after the game. And I think I had an advantage, Levi, because I wasn't the kid who grew up wanting to play in the NFL. That was not my dream. I played with guys, that was their dream.
Yeah.
They were being groomed from the NFL. And when they got to the NFL, that's all they knew. So when their career was over, they struggled with the adjustment, because that's all they knew was NFL football. And for me, one is, I never expected to be there. So when I got there, I considered it a blessing. This is my job, how I take care of my family.
Right.
But I was always planning for life after the game. What am I going to do next? Because I didn't think I would play that long.
Yeah.
And so by the time I got to my 9th year, I had already networked with so many different business professionals. I had coaching offers. I had options.
Yeah.
My challenge was just deciding which one I was going to do.
Right.
But when I ended my career, I remember after that 9th year, I said to myself, man, I played 9 years in the NFL. I wasn't supposed to be here. I'm relatively healthy. I'm done. And I walked away, and I was done.
Kind of like Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of players do struggle with that, but I didn't, because it wasn't my identity. I mean, my identity was different. I mean, I was married. I just had some children.
Right.
And I just couldn't wait to pour into the world, because so many people helped me during my journey, because I didn't have a father around,
Yeah.
I mean, I found out who my dad was when I was age 40.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a whole nother story. But I didn't have a father figure around. So I always gravitated to different mentors, teachers, and coaches that guided me throughout my journey. And so that's why I like to pour into others, especially on social media and so forth.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine the lessons you learn from the NFL, like, performing under pressure, being able to have a whole stadium of people around you and still perform to the best of your ability. What kind of lessons like that have you learned from the NFL, and how are you parlaying those lessons into motivational speaking for businesses? Like, what can business teams learn from those lessons that you learned?
Great question. When people ask me what was the hardest part about playing the NFL, it's not the physical part. it was the pressure.
Right.
It really was.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
The pressure was constant every day, every second. You're constantly under a microscope. You're constantly being evaluated. And there's always some guy behind you waiting for you to mess up.
Yeah.
So you had to be at your best all the time. And what helped me was just the preparation. How I prepared for each game, how I prepared for each practice. I always knew what I was going to do. I understood my assignments, and I invested a lot. I mean, I would study. So when I went into the game, the pressure was there, but also I was relaxed because I knew what to do. I was ready to do my job. And because when you understand and you're prepared, you can perform at your best.
Right.
So, but also too, I didn't take days off. I didn't take days off because, like I said, you're evaluated every single day. And the NFL is about having the mindset every day is game day. Yeah. It's not just on Sunday. It's Monday through Sunday. It's meetings. It's weights. It's practice. You always bring your best. To be the best and stay the best, you bring your best every day. And it's one of the things that I preach to business professionals. It doesn't matter the profession is, you got to wake up with an attitude like, how can I be better than I was the day before?
Yeah. And
how can I be better than I was the season before?
Yeah.
Because it puts you in that mindset to raise the bar and be even better than you were before.
Yeah. But what about like that person who's just like, working a desk job all day and just feels like they're doing tasks? How do you motivate that sort of person to want to get up every day and start, working their way up? Or like, I'm just thinking of that person who's like, I don't want to work my way up. I'm good where I'm at and like all this stuff. How do you motivate those types of people to think of it like every day is game day?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what I said earlier. They have to understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
What's the reason why you're sitting at that desk? What's the reason why you punch the clock? What's the reason why you have that job? Because money itself is not a strong enough motivator. You can make money anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's what can the money do for you? What's the why that you're trying to accomplish? And so if you're just, no matter what job you have, it still applies. Because if you just go through the motions and you have those wall kicking moments and you don't have a strong why, then it's easy to slow down, to quit, to take your foot off the gas, to not be at your best every day.
I'm going to get a little deep here, but do you think that not having a purpose, that person that we just described, do you think not having a purpose or a why every day you wake up can lead to some sort of depression?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. Because if you don't have, like you said, if you don't have the purpose, you don't have the goal, it's like taking a bow and arrow and aiming at nothing.
Right.
There's no target. There's no bullseye. There's nothing to focus on. There's nothing to evaluate yourself. There's nothing to celebrate. You're just shooting in the air.
Yeah. Which why I feel like as a leader, it's important for everyone who's working for you to know that end-to-end value stream. Like even if you're just a random, company that sells paper cups, let's just say, or random, I don't know, right? What's the end-to-end value stream? Why are you selling those paper cups? Are they environmentally safe? Maybe they're environmentally safe. Like our purpose is to save the planet, So getting everyone on your team to kind of align to the end-to-end value stream, like kind of gives that purpose. Because I feel like what a lot of businesses do wrong, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is they focus too much on the roles and the tasks that people need to be doing.
Yeah.
But the tasks don't mean anything if your team is not aligned on that end-to-end value stream.
Yeah.
Do you believe that's true?
Oh, that's a great point. It really is. And I always try to encourage business professionals. I'll say, what is your individual why? And then does your why match up with the company's why? That's the beauty of being a speaker. Because I get to speak to so many different companies, different industries, and I have to do the research. Like one thing I always try to figure out is, how do they make an impact? It could be any profession. How do they make an impact? How are they making a difference? You know, I was speaking to roofing company 2 weeks ago. I was at their convention in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm researching and I'm thinking like, okay, what is their impact? And as I dug a little deeper, I was like, God, they impact what matters most. They're protecting people.
Yeah.
They're allowing people to be comfortable in their environment and residential, commercial. And I told them, I said, you guys probably don't see yourself as game changers, but every time you install a new roof, you are impacting somebody's story.
Yeah.
So it's important for companies to understand like, okay, what is the impact we're making? What is our purpose? And then they have to pour that into their team so they're all aligned and they're working towards the same purpose.
Right. I love that, man. Lastly, I want to ask you, we talked about a lot of things, but what is the biggest takeaway if a leader is watching this? What's the biggest takeaway you can give that leader of a team?
Let me give you an example. So I ran track and field, as you know. I was a long jumper, but I love the long distance races. I love the long distance races because there's a lot of strategy, a lot of tactical things that are taking place. But if you notice in all the long distance races, there's always a guy that starts out in the front. They call him the rabbit. They're the pace setter. Yeah. Their job is to run at a pace faster than the other runners, the first part of the race, and hoping to pull them along. See, if the rabbit runs at a faster pace, all the other runners will hopefully stick with that pace. So when the rabbit drops out, he's created so much momentum that those guys end up running a faster time, like a personal record or something. The same applies in leadership. Leaders lead from the front. They set the pace. They set the tempo. They set the example for the rest of the team. And it is like the number one recommendation I give every leader. First, look in the mirror. Yeah. What kind of example are you setting for your team?
Yes.
Because if you set the right example, you set the right pace, your employees who really want it, who are on the purpose, they will follow you and you pull them right along. And that's how you improve your production overall.
Yeah, one of the mistakes that I made first starting out as a leader was I would tell people what to do. I wouldn't set those examples. I wouldn't set the pace. And it took me years to learn that. A few business mentors later, I finally learned that, you can't tell people what to do. Right. You can't. Setting an example is super important. I'm sure you know that as a dad too.
Yeah.
And being a leader in any part of your life, it doesn't just have to be your team. It can be, your dad or family or whatever. Yeah. It's super important to work on, leadership skills and not telling people what to do.
Yeah.
But setting the pace. I love that.
I had so many great mentors, like I mentioned. I mentioned Joe Montana and had a wide receiver coach that was amazing, Al Saunders. But when I was 15 years old and I started running track, my summer track coach was named Von Ray Johnson. I was 15. He was about 45. And he would give us these crazy workouts, like 8 200s and 7 300s. And we would start to work out. And you know what? Coach Von Ray Johnson would be running right with us. He would run each rep with us. And he would lead us and he would talk to us. And I never forgot that because I thought, oh my goodness, talk about leadership.
Yeah.
He's giving us these crazy workouts and he's doing it too and showing us that. And that would motivate me. It would inspire me that if he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
And that's the power of a good leader who sets a good example for the rest of the team, is that you can inspire your team to greatness.
I love that, man. That's a great example. Wow. Like he ran the track with you guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and here's what's cool.
Yeah.
When I became a track coach after my NFL career,
oh really?
What do you think I did?
Run.
I ran them right with the kids
wow.
because I remember the impact that Coach Johnson made on me, and I wanted to do the same for my track athletes.
That's beautiful, man. JJ, you're amazing. You're so many things. NFL, you're a great athlete. You're a great motivational speaker. You're a great dad. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate what you had to say, and I can't wait to rewatch this.
No, well, thank you. I mean, it's a privilege to be here. I consider it an honor to just share and pour into other people. And I just hope that someone who's listening took one of these success tips and can apply it and achieve something great.
Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to plug my website, jjbirden.com. That's my hub.
Okay.
You can sign up for my newsletter called Between the Lines. You can follow me on social media. And this is my first book.
No way.
When Opportunity Knocks, 8 Surefire Ways to Take Advantage. I'm signing this copy to you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to read that.
Yeah. And then I'm going to write my second book, Levi, called Beat the Coverage early next year.
Oh, yeah. Love that.
So, yeah, I just say website and just connect with me on social media. I love to connect with everyone.
Yeah. Book him. Seriously. I've seen all of his talks. They're amazing. So, all right, JJ, until next time.
All right. Keep up the good work, too.
Thank you. Thank you.